Hey everybody, Andrew here from Pacific Coast Auto, taking a look at the results of last week's auction picks. Up first, the Nissan Pulsar GT-IR. This one did not sell as it was removed from auction after the bidding had reached $5,860. Maybe the seller got an offer for it, or maybe they decided to keep it. We'll never know. The Smart Fortwo did not sell. It was unsold with a high bid of $1,080. The Subaru WRX STI S208 sold through negotiation, so unfortunately we don't know what it went for. The Volkswagen Golf went for way under Derek's guess. Somebody's picked that one up for $1,310. The BMW M3 went unsold. The bidding got up to $41,800, but that wasn't enough for the seller to let it go. The Mazda Bongo Wagon did sell, and somebody picked that up for just $500. That's going to do it for last week's picks. Now here's Derek with this week's and a special announcement, though maybe not in that order.
Hey guys, my name is Derek and I'm going to run you through the auction picks this week. And we got a bit of a longer video here because we have 13 picks you guys sent in through Facebook. So thank you for sending those in. Last week was only 7 because I think people just didn't feel like doing it, or maybe there weren't that many good cars at auctions. Remember, you have to pick your auction picks not in the USS auctions, and all the best cars are USS, unfortunately. And so maybe people came back with a vengeance this time because we got 13 picks, and I was going to narrow it down a little bit, but I thought, no, let's do an extra long video this time. And so for the long video lovers, this one is for you. And I guess that kind of makes sense because this may be the very last version of this video that we ever put up, because we have semi-decided that streaming is the way to go. And this is cool because if you are there at the time that we're streaming, then you get to take part in it. You get to live show us the vehicles that you want us to talk about, and we can also do it as kind of a questions type video as well, where you can ask us questions about exporting the cars at the same time. We are going to do our trial run of that next Monday, Japan time, which is kind of Sunday in most of America. I know we get most of our viewers in Canada and the USA and those time zones. I'm sorry, people in Europe. I love you very much, but we don't get as many viewers from your section. So the streaming thing is nice because what we'll do is we'll put it streaming. You can watch it live if you want, but then after it's done streaming, we'll put it up as a regular video just like these. And so if you're outside of the regular time zone and you don't want to stay up until 4 o'clock in the morning to take a look at the auction picks that are on the video and me talking about them, then you don't have to. It's always going to be there on YouTube and you can check it yourself. The only thing is after the day of posting, the vehicles are, the vehicles are going to have already been through auction, and that means you won't be able to actually bid on them if that's what you really wanted to do. Anyways, next Monday, the time for that is going, and I'm going to probably post another video, or like you can push the thumbnail beforehand as a reminder in advance, and it'll say, this will go live at this time on YouTube, and so we're going to have that go on. Probably going to be 11 o'clock Japan time in the morning on Monday, and that's going to be 10 p.m. East Coast USA Sunday evening and 7 p.m. West Coast, and then if you're in the middle, obviously you can do the math. Okay, and so I look forward to that. We bought like a new webcam for that, and we're going to try to figure out how that's going to work and everything. But let's go into this video here, and we'll check the ones that you guys sent in. So I got the first one here from Raymond Liang. He sent in a Porsche 911. We're trying to sell one right now, but unfortunately nobody's buying it, even though it's a pretty good car. It's very unfortunate. But anyways, enough on that. What we have here, this is the pre-964 generation. You can tell because, well, the bumpers are different, around the headlights are slightly different, but the general shape of the 911 from the very beginning until about the 964 generation didn't change an awful lot. The 993 generation, which was the final air-cooled ones, they started to look very different. This one has aftermarket fender flares on it, an aftermarket super ugly bumper that's going to scrape the gum off of the ground by the looks of it. Really not down with a bumper that looks like that on a 911. Even though I think the 911 chassis handles modifications really well, most bumpers generally look really good. Most Aero kits, wide fenders, spoilers in all sorts, all shapes and sizes, they all look really sweet, but this bumper, it almost looks like you could crawl in there and sleep in it. That opening is so big. Okay, and Recaro aftermarket seats on here. Raymond didn't leave a comment on it, and so let's look over the auction sheet. And this one here is the SC, which would have been the slower version of it, the Carrera being the faster version. SCs used to sell for cheaper, but I think that they're about the same price as the regular 911 Carreras at this moment, simply because I think the SC has lower production numbers than the regular Carreras did, and so that kind of comes into a rarity thing. It's kind of like how the Porsche 912, I don't know if you know this car, but there's a car called the Porsche 912, and it came out slightly after the Porsche 911, and it's a four-cylinder version of basically the same car, and those are more expensive than the Porsche 911 of the same era in many cases, simply because they didn't sell that many of them. Okay, so it's a 88,260 kilometers on here, pretty low mileage. It's a 5-speed manual, so that keeps the price up a good amount. About $10,000 difference between the 5 speeds and the autos at the moment here in Japan. Original Japan car, front Recaro seats, Momo steering wheel, Bilstein suspension, and aftermarket exhaust. Has over fenders on it, 17-inch wheels. And it looks like the fitment is pretty aggressive on these. The car is very close. The wheels are very close to the edge of the fenders, and the wheels are pushed way out. I think the fitment is generally pretty good. A lot of times you'll see a car that has a wide body kit on it, and the wheels just don't seem to fill out the wide body as much as you think that they would. I think this one they did a pretty good job. I think these days a lot of people who drive cars are less concerned about comfort of the vehicle on a vehicle that's very flashy. And so something like this, because of how low it is and how wide the wheels are, it's probably not going to handle or ride as well as a normal 911 would. And you would think that pushing the wheels out would give you better handling because you're lowering the center of balance, but that's not necessarily the case. You can get special suspension, like for example, there are wide versions of the 911 and you can use that suspension, and then the Porsche engineers did a good job in making sure that that suspension is appropriate for that width of wheel. But if you're just going to be putting lower offset wheels on there, it doesn't necessarily equate to better handling. And I do wonder about the RWB super wide 911s. I have a feeling like you're not getting the best handling out of those. But apparently they get 58 seconds on the Tsukuba circuit, which is a pretty good lap time. So I don't know. I would like to have just have a good understanding about what's going on with that. But anyways, back to the translation here. Interior is dirty, scratched, seat wear, headliner is dirty, underside has surface rust and corrosion and has been painted. Oil leak, all of them leak oil. Exhaust has surface rust and corrosion on it in places. Exterior has some paint cracks on it, and the whole outside has been repainted, the original red color, and has uneven paint in some places because it was painted by a human. And so we have windshield rock chip, A3, and cracked front bumper because it is low enough to scrape the gum off. It must have been super old gum. They cracked that bumper. Like it's been there for 40 years. My old high school was like 80 years old or something, and there was this one section where it was the smoking section, and there was old gum on the ground everywhere. There were like thousands of pieces of old gum. They were just little black spots everywhere on the ground, and it was super disgusting. It was probably gum like that destroyed the bumper, my guess. Okay, 911 prices, generally pretty consistent. This one starts at just about 2 million yen. I'd say we have a good chance of somewhere in the range of 3.5 to 4.8, or yeah, probably somewhere around there. And I'm going to guess for my one price of 4.4 on this one. Okay, on to the next one. Raymond Yu sent in this next, and he says, a clean example first generation CRX with a proper age Mugen wheels. Yes, Mugen wheels. Now Mugen is a Honda tuning company owned by Honda, made by the founder of the company's son, actually. Kind of interesting thing there. Mugen makes an awful lot of extremely ugly and not cool looking wheels, and the only exceptions to this, in my opinion, at least for classic wheels, I don't know so much about the new ones, are the MF8 and the MF10 wheels. Look really nice, and then these ones here are really cool looking because they have like heat sink look on them, and you can get Aero covers on them. An Aero cover is the Japanese word for turbofan, so it's a plastic piece that goes on top of these, and they are unfortunately impossible to find. And I'm guessing the price for a set of these 4 plastic discs would be somewhere around $2,000 or so to if you were able to find some, just because they don't really exist. I think they're cool wheels. I don't think that they're amazing. I liked them a lot more before I realized how common they are here in Japan. And if you look at a lot of like classic Honda tuner cars, they're on a lot of them here. And they're cheap wheels. You can get a set of 4 in reasonable condition for about $700. Okay, so this is the SI version, the sports car version of the car. This same era as my Honda City that unfortunately never gets to be done. But, oh, here's something. If we're going to be doing streaming, we're going to save a little bit of time because it probably takes us about an hour and a half, maybe up to 2 hours to put together one of these videos in terms of recording it and getting the prices and uploading it and all of that. If we do, if we do streaming, then it will, like, we could do a 1 hour stream and it would take less time than it does to make this video here, which is usually about 30 to 35, 40 minutes. So, good news, more time to fix my car and hopefully get it on the road someday. Okay, it's a 1985 CRX 1600cc engine, 618 kilometers. Is very low for this car. It never was a classic car up until about maybe 5 or 10 years ago, and so people weren't holding on to the low mileage ones in the same way that they did cars that people knew would become valuable. So what I mean is this car, it was just a disposable car for most of its life, and people didn't really keep them in good condition. And so what that does is destroys the market of good condition ones because nobody keeps them, and then makes it very hard to find a good condition, low mileage one this late in its life, I guess. 1985 makes it over 30 years old. Wow. Okay, so it's RA grade because it's been in a light accident. It looks like the body's in really good condition with replaced fenders here. Interior B, purchased from user original wheels. Mugen means no limits in English. Toll collection box, aftermarket exhaust, seat wear, wheels scratched, door mirror scratched, interior dirty, blah, 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 blah. Front inner panel has some accident damage that has been repaired. AC doesn't work, and underside surface rust. This is going to sell for a lot. I think this will be one of the very top ones that we've ever seen go through auction. It's basically an ideal car at this point. And so I'm going to guess a super high price compared to what these usually sell for of 1.5 million yen. Okay, next person here, Glenn McCurdy sent in this vehicle. A low mileage AP1 S2K hard top conversion, question mark, non-CR in brackets. Okay. So, this is just a removable hard top. Some companies actually do full non-removable hard tops that are basically riveted onto the body, or in some cases molded onto the body using body filler and whatnot. But the removable hard top is really what you want because you get the benefits of having a hard top, generally pretty good looks, and then you get the quietness of the inside of a cabin because you have that hard top on there. And you don't have to worry about wear of the soft top. Now the soft top is still underneath here, and so usually it takes 2 people to take the top off. You put it in your garage. In Japan, you probably wouldn't have a garage. The only thing I wonder is if your soft top is folded down for extended periods of time, I wonder if that damages your soft top in other ways. Like you wouldn't get the weather damage of sun and rain and gooiness on it and people coming by and flicking their cigarette butts on your hardtop. Not like that's something that you have to worry about, but if it's all crumpled up into the back or folded up into the back all nicely, will that damage it? Don't know. Okay, an AP1 is the first generation, or the Koki Zenki model. They only had one generation of the S2000 with an early and a late model. Looks like we got some paint fade on the body, quite a bit of it. 80,000 kilometers is kind of middle of the road for Japan. Has a 6-speed manual. I hear these are great to drive. We've exported a few, but I haven't really gotten a chance to drive one. And just driving one in the city is not really the same as driving one nice and fast. You don't really get the same kind of feelings because cars act very differently when they're at the edge of their limits compared to what they're like in the general meat of their rev range and performance ability. I would say up to about 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, a lot of the cars can feel great and then feel bad after that, and the opposite is true as well. Some cars just feel normal around 6,000 or around 60%, and then when you go to the higher RPMs, they start to feel more like a performance car. And I would say the Hondas are generally really much the latter in that. They generally perform best when they're at their limits. That being said, you have to mention that this car is famous for not giving you any warning before it spins out. And so people call that snap oversteer. The AP1 version of it is worse than the AP2. I think they changed the suspension a little bit and changed the engine to a one that was less peaky. But it would be interesting to really get to know one of these cars because the limit of the car is so high. And so it is a very fast car and capable car, especially for being a 2-liter with no turbo on it. Okay, so body condition doesn't look that good. Paint is one of the big problems there. Both sides have been repainted and there's paint faded on the roof. And an A4 scratch on the front bumper. Has adjustable suspension, push start, HID lights, aftermarket exhaust, rear spoiler, GPS radar, bride bucket seats. I guess those are aftermarket. Oh, only one. That's kind of weird. It is a full bucket seat by the look of it. Which is annoying when we buy the cars because getting in and out of the cars is hard and we have to get in and out of cars in the lot all the time. But the original seats look nice on these cars. I wonder how they compare to an aftermarket seat like a regular Bride or Recaro seat. Front fender has been modified. Front fenders, probably rolled fenders here. Door mirror paint peeling, underside surface rust and painted. I'm going to guess 1.1 million for this one. Okay, thank you Glenn McCurdy for sending that one in. Next homeboy here is Jefferson Pareso. Pareso? Sorry. One of my all-time favorites. I want one of these for my stock, but then again, I also don't want to have stock right now. I made the dumb decision of buying a few cars for inventory in hopes that I could fix them up or like clean them up and sell them, but then just didn't have time to clean them up, and so selling them kind of break even-ish, a little bit of profit. But these are awesome because they're station wagons, which I love. They're rear-wheel drive. They're fast. The 1JZ 2.5 liter single turbo engine. The 1J has twin turbos at the beginning and then changed over to a single turbo in '97. This is, a 2006. Did they make this that long? It's the Athlete 4. Okay, so the Athlete 4 is the non-turbo version, but it's four-wheel drive. And so, it is cool. I actually was looking for a four-wheel drive version of this for the ice racing, which I did in the Golf instead. Auction grade 4, interior B, 129, 441 kilometers. Body looks really good except for scratches on the front bumper. It's an A4. And paint cracks on the back bumper. And then headlights are cloudy. And then some of these are circled. Steering wheel wear, seat wear, wheel scratch, door mirror scratched, windshield rock chip, and interior dirty. It's a good car. These are the original wheels on it. I think it looks great. This is the final version of the Crown Wagon too. After this, it changed. No more Crown Wagon after this. They changed into a JZX 110 for their wagons, which is a Mark II. And they had a Mark II Blit, which had the 1JZ engine in it. And then after that, do they still sell that? I don't know. I don't know super new cars that well, so. Okay. Price-wise for this one, 140,000 yen. Raya Divino sent in our next one here. That's a cool looking wagon too. I've always had a soft spot for these Volvos. This is a cool wagon. This is a cool wagon. And Volvos are in most countries, so the Crown to most people would be the JDM cool car that people never see, has the cool engine in it. But Volvos are still cool cars, and they're so cheap in Japan that I think that they're a great deal. This one is the V70 T5, and so that's a turbocharged engine version, front-wheel drive, 2.3 liter inline 5-cylinder. And one of these was the first fast car that I ever drove. It was a Volvo 850R, which is this one kind of replaced the 850. It was the generation before this, and I was absolutely surprised and kind of part of the reason why I got into cars. At that time, I was still kind of a car nerd, but being a car nerd and then getting into what at the time I considered a fast car, it was very eye-opening for me, I would say. So it's a 1999, auction grade 3.5. That was the silence of me taking a sip of coffee. I thought if I'm going to shoot a long one, I should get a coffee. 92,600 kilometers, automatic transmission, lowered with wheels. I don't know what I feel about the way that this one looks. It's lowered with the wheels and the front lip. I think that's pretty cool. It is a little bit weird on the Volvo, but that might be why I think it's so cool. But then again, Volvo has a history of racing and a successful history of racing, and so having a sporty Volvo is not necessarily strange for the marque. Steering wheel wear. Left front inner panel has a small dent. Dashboard has glue on it. Headliner is dirty. Rear hatch damper doesn't work, and oil leak. The body, maybe I'd call that about a 7 out of 10, maybe a 7.5 out of 10, depending on how it actually looks. You do have to look out for, like, whenever they have a circle here. That's a U2. That'll probably be about fist size, and I think that would be the biggest damage on the body. In terms of prices for this, automatic transmission with 92,600 kilometers and current registration on it, see the plates. Probably looking at about 120,000 yen, maybe. Okay, on the next one, Everett S. Sent in this. What a good find here. I think this one's actually been in auction before. Let's have a look. Yeah. Ooh, look at all this. It's been in auction for so long. Okay, so it has a one price. You can buy this car, and this is a little bit cheating on my behalf, but a one price of 3.1 million yen. Telephone's ringing. Looks like it's somebody from Canada. Okay, so what is this? It's called the Toyota Classic, and they sold only, I think, 250 of these, or 200.
Yeah.
Super, super low production volumes for them. And it's based on a Toyota Hilux, and so this is like the Toyota pickup, but like a classic design. And it's kind of like a, I don't know, a weird looking version of one of Toyota's earliest cars. Kind of like a commemoration type vehicle. Very cool. 3 million. I've seen these sell for like 800,000 yen a few years ago. And I think that's why this one's going unsold. Nobody wants to pay that much. You can see what the highest bid was. Somebody bid, over 3 million here. Somebody bid over 3 million here. And then now he wants 3.1. And so it's pretty close. And so, yeah. Oh, 10,000 kilometers. That's why he wants so much. Wow, very low. 2000 cc. This is a gasoline engine. Toyota Craft. Oh, 100 units made, not 200 or 250. Aftermarket Navi, full-seg TV, that's a digital TV tuner, reverse camera, steering wheel, that's all they wrote, steering wheel, I guess they meant like aftermarket steering wheel, and that suits the car really nicely. Look at that interior. Look, it still uses the Hilux dashboard. Crazy. Okay, so roof paint cracks over here, A3 over here, after underside surface rust here. Yeah, so price-wise, it'll probably go unsold again. If it sells, probably sell for about 3 million. Usually the one price is slightly higher than what they would accept at auction. So yeah. Next guy here. Ooh, what's that? Oh, so pretty. This is Leslie Lee sent in. This is Lexus LC500H. These cars, I have to mention something about this. So this car sells for, I don't know, between 100 and 150,000 dollars or so. Somewhere in there, I don't know exactly. And a lot of people have been kind of poo-pooing this car because in that price range, there's a lot of competition and a lot of better performing cars than this. And Toyota cars or Lexus cars generally don't outperform other cars. As an example, look at the LFA, which is a $350,000 car. And it doesn't really outperform all of the other cars from that price point, so to say. But it is a very special and very good looking car nonetheless. And I think that most people who are looking for a car that costs this much, they want a car that they can kind of stand out. And that's the point of this car, is not to outperform other cars, not to be better on paper, but to be a car that people don't see that often. And when someone sees it, are like, wow, that's a good looking car. And the design of this one, some people love it and some people hate it, and some people, they're everywhere in between. I like having seen them on the road only once yesterday or the day before. Wow, does it ever look great? when it's driving down the road. And say what you want about the styling, I think that it looks great. I think the proportions are good, and I think that it's bold, and it definitely draws eyes toward it, and it sounds good. And I was driving my R32 at the time, and I was like, I'm jealous of you, and so I'm going to pull away from this light as fast as I can to prove that, well, I don't know, probably some insecure male testosterone thing, but yeah, it was cool.
Okay.
He didn't come after me. I was kind of hoping he would, so I could see that car drive faster. I think it'll look nicer when it's driving faster. And look at his Shinagawa plates. That's a rich area of Tokyo. That says 500 there. So he bought the plate that says 500 Shinagawa, and that might be a hard plate to find because Shinagawa is a lot of people in Shinagawa want specialty plates that say the number of their car. Like this one here is an LC 500H, so the 500 matches the name of the car. Other cars like a 964 or a 993 or a 911, very commonly people want to get those plates. And sometimes it's really hard because there are, I think, like, so this one here, it says Chi 500. And so I think that almost all of the different hiragana letters have their own version of the number here. And so that's something like 50 or so plates that would be Shinagawa 500 for vehicles of this size. And so it's pretty limited. And people would sell plates like that if they are able to. They have to sell the car to someone else in Shinagawa, and it has to be for the right registration size plate. So it's not as easy as it is in some countries where, for example, a license plate that says 1 is the only one in the very country, and it can go on any car. But there is some value to the license plates. And sometimes you'll see on the auction sheet that it says the license plate is negotiable, and so you have to pay extra if you want to get that license plate. So it's a 2017 March, 3.5 liter engine, L package, 21-inch wheels. I don't really know that much about these cars. I think performance-wise it's probably, just guessing, probably in the range of about 350 horsepower or so. 20,000 kilometers is pretty high for a car this new. I wonder where they're driving to. I like this. Inside the car has animal hair. Maybe this is the car for the person that has to have their dog go everywhere with them. That said, a lot of cars say that, but then you don't see any animal hair after you buy the car. So weird. Okay, starting price is $9 million. So I guess I'm going to guess $10 million on this one. I don't really know how much they sell for at auction. Haven't been watching. On to the next one, Mitch Cowie sent this in. This is a cool car. He says, what a cool car. You don't get to see these anymore. In some countries, you don't ever get to see these. And so I think this is a Tuscan Speed 6. Is that right? We've bought one TVR, and it was one of the scariest purchases that we ever made. I bought it in, like, off of Yahoo Auctions. Went to pick up the car myself, and he's like, oh, you're going to drive the car? Oh, I don't know if I would do that if I were you. And I said, okay, it's fine. I went to drive it, and then the brakes didn't work on it. And so I had to use the e-brake in order to stop the car. And I had to drive it to the port, and so it was a very annoying circumstance. The car sounded awesome, though, because it had no muffler. This one's probably about the same, just 2 glass pack exhausts, and then usually these run like the Rover V8, like the 4-liter V8. Let's see what this one has. 3.6 liter. I think that's a V8. I'm not too sure. TVR Tuscan. Okay, so I don't know the difference between the Tuscan and the Speed 6 version of the Tuscan. Cool car, though. I think that they're kind of old world cars, but in a way that's a good thing. Auction rate 4, interior B, 21,602 miles, and so this one would be one directly from England, by the looks of it. TVR is an English company. ATLJ. I don't know what that means. Okay. And then down here, what does it say? Underside surface rust, scratched and dented. Seat has the seat has a cover on it that comes up. The bottom cover of it comes up. Probably something's broken on the driver's seat. Like there's a separation between the two pieces of it. Okay, beautiful car. Probably doesn't perform that well compared to most other cars, but still good looking, good sounding, gets your attention, poorly built. The one that I drove had electronic door locks, and if the battery dies, which it did, then the only way to open the car is to peel back the soft top section here, and then put your hand in and then actuate a switch. And this was actually in the manual. It's really weird. Peel back the top. It's a car that you could never lock, providing the thieves know how to get into it. Okay, price starts at 1.5 mil. Price-wise, I think that we'll say this one is probably just above 2. Let's say about 2.6 maybe. It's been a long time since I've thought about TVRs. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. Okay, Ioanni Esparza sent in this next one. We got, ooh. The only time Skyline made an ugly car. Actually, that's a little bit mean to say. I like these cars. They just don't have the wow appeal of every other generation of Skyline. But cool. Cool cars. Not much to say about them. Is this a third generation? Third? Okay, it's a 1980 Skyline Turbo. Oh, what 2-liter turbo is that? Is that the F something 20? FJ, that doesn't sound right. FJ20? Okay, auction grade 3, exterior C, exterior E, interior C. 87,851 kilometers, 5-speed manual transmission. Cool to have a turbocharged car from this long ago. Probably has a lot of lag. Probably the turbo doesn't work very well compared to modern turbos. So bad paint and rust all over the body, hence the grade 3. Engine doesn't work well, it makes weird sounds. Radiator leaks water. That would have to be fixed prior to exporting. AC doesn't work. Old car with AC. Inside the engine room has rust. Engine oil leak, underside surface rust, steering wheel wear, shift knob wear, door card scratched, interior dirty, headliner is saggy, seat dirty, touch-up paint on the car, spare tire, oh man, something I can't read, spare tire something, fender mirrors on this car. I like this cool decal on the side, and it has a very cool character line at the back, I think. Notice it has like a slash line here. And I'm wondering if the R34 is using this same slash line as a homage, because it's not parallel to the ground, it's on an incline, in the same way that the R34 does. Okay, and rear board is missing. Rear board goes up here, so I guess it's missing. Okay, so it looks like it needs some help, but restorable condition, most likely. The interior looks not bad. Look at that, cool. Cool car, man. I think this car would look better now than when it first came out, probably. That's my guess. Price-wise, Skyline name on it. That means big prices. I'd say probably 780,000 yen. Okay, Victor Sancho sent in our next one. He sent in a Nissan 180SX. 180SX gets its name from the engine size, which is really weird because it only had the 1.8-liter engine for like 2 years before it changed to a 2-liter, and then they didn't change the name of the car. But then in other markets, like in Australia, it's called a 200SX because of a 2-liter engine. And then in the US, it's called a 240SX because of a 2.4-liter. So why didn't they change the name in Japan from 180 to 200 when they changed the engine size? Same thing goes for the S2000, right? The S2000 used to be a 2-liter, but then in the late model they went to a 2.2, but kept the name of the car S2000. And you know with Honda, they're keeping the engine size for the naming because they're naming it the same as, for example, the S600 was a 600cc sports car, and the S800 was an 800cc sports car. And now they have the S660, which is a 660cc sports car. So why does the S2000 have a 2.4-liter engine? Anyway, rant is finished. Looks like, well, your typical drifto car. I think that cars like this are way more exciting to people who don't have as much experience with them unless they're drifters themselves. And what I mean by this is a car like this looks really good when you see pictures of it. They're popular cars on sites like Speed Hunters or basically any JDM tuner car magazine or on the internet or Facebook group or Instagram. And so image-wise, they have an image that a lot of people like. But I think a lot of people who like them don't know about the realities of living with a car that's like this compared to a car that is easier to live with, because they're not fantastic cars to live with if they've been modified to death. And the reason why I said drift people, like actual drifters, put up with this because the car can perform in a very specific way that suits the needs for them on a racetrack. And I think that if you take this car and you try to drive it in that way on the road, then you're an idiot. And I know that there are lots of people out there who are idiots, but if you have a drift car, don't drift around on the road, because that's an incredibly stupid thing to do. And you just don't think that it is stupid. And I know that I'm going to get flamed for saying this, that, oh, you know, street racing is so cool. Yeah, it's not really cool when you think about the amount of risk that you're putting for yourself, your car, for other people around you. And if you were to do some street racing on the road and you got in an accident and you killed somebody that was in your car or somebody that was in another car, I'm sure you would change your mind about that. So, with that said, for a road car, I prefer a car that's a little bit more comfortable than this. If it has an LSD in the back, for example, you turn around a corner, it will go gung, 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 gung. And then the person next to you is going to say, why is your car making that weird sound? And you can say, it's not broken. I made my car this way on purpose. And you're going to think they think, wow, you're such a cool guy that your car makes weird sounds like that because you modify it in special ways and you know about cars. But usually people aren't thinking the same way as you are in that. And they usually think you're kind of an idiot for making a car do that if you've modified your car to be a race car and then you're not actually racing it. Okay, rant's finished. I'm not going to go over the sheet. There's just way too much on the sheet. This is the type of sheet that we don't like to translate because it takes a really long time, and usually people don't buy 180s. Most of the people who send in the translation requests or want to buy the 180s, they usually want to buy them for half the price that they actually sell for, and then we end up translating a bunch of sheets. They don't buy anything, and then they go and find something locally. And so it ends up costing all of our other customers because that time should be used for the customers who are going to be a little bit more serious. I don't even know if I want to say a price on this one. I've already kind of bashed this car. Maybe I'm getting some frustrations out, and so I apologize for that. Price-wise, let's just look at this quickly. Engine doesn't work. That's going to lower the price. Corrosion on it. Body is terrible. But people still buy these, and people still pay high prices for them. I'll say 580,000 yen on this one. Okay, sorry Victor for being so hard on your pick. Elijah McDonald, you get chosen for this one. Ooh, look at the overexposed picture. It almost looks like a picture from like the 1960s. And so we have a city bus, or I guess it's like a handicapped bus, but it looks like a city bus. And it's cool because you can buy them from auction in Japan. You do have to be careful though, because import regulations are sometimes different for buses than they are for passenger cars. So check into that before you go buy yourself a bus. Whoa, 520,236 kilometers on this. 5-speed manual. And the engine is a 12.9 liter. Cool. Is that diesel? Let's have a look. Yep. 12.9 liter diesel. So take the engine out of this and then put it into something else. 74 passengers. Cool. Yeah, we've never bought or exported something this big, but if we do, then I'm definitely taking it for a test drive. I've got my little son who's 2 years old, and I showed him a fire truck that we have in the lot right now, and he couldn't stop talking about how cool it was to sit in a fire truck. And so if I showed him the bus, I'm sure he would feel the same way. Condition-wise, battery needs to be replaced. Audio has been removed. Exterior line paint, so this line paint, I guess. Paint is uneven and paint fade, and then the roof scratched and dented. Has a little bit of rust here and there and there. It doesn't look that bad though for 520,000 kilometers. I wonder what these will sell for. Starting price $300. I don't know. I don't know what this is going to sell for. 400,000 yen. We'll see. Next person, Ben Paynet, YouTube All-Star. Derek, I know you have a soft spot for the Sunny truck. This one also has a long body. It's actually a long bed, not a long body, Mr. Ben Paynet. At least it says on the rear. At least it says that on the rear. Does it? Let's see. Sunny, long body. Okay. Yeah, it's only extra 30 centimeters in the bed after the wheel. So you can get these in short or long, and you can tell by the auction code. So the 120 series is the long one, and the 110 is the 110 or 100, I don't know, is the short one. And he says it looks really nicely modified with XR4 wheels and fistable exhaust pipe. Oh, I probably shouldn't have read that. I should have censored myself. Exhaust pipe big enough to put an eggplant into. Okay. Aftermarket seats. You do have to be careful about the aftermarket seats in these cars because the cab area is itty bitty, and an aftermarket seat that's not made for this car sometimes will take up more room than the original seats, giving you less leg room. And one of the major problems with these cars is leg room. And so style-wise, I think they're really cool. I think it's cool that you can get a 70s car that was made up until, I think 78 was the first year of these, and then the final year was 94 or something. So it's so cool that they made a modern version of a 70s car. They're still built like 70s cars, i.e. poorly. But this one looks great with the wheels. It's good height. I like the front chin spoiler, although I'd like it more if it was in white. I like the circle headlights. In this year, they would have had square headlights, so this is a conversion. The fender mirrors looks good. Cool. Sunny trucks are cool. They're really slow though. 1.2 liter engine and 4-speed manual. I want a fast one though, with an SR20 with no turbo, but velocity stacks on carburetors. I think that would be really sweet. And then it would smell like it should. Nice gasoline smelling vehicle. Auction grade 3 interior C, 64 131 kilometers, but it's a 5-digit odometer, so that may have rolled over. Recaro seats in it. Aftermarket exhaust. What else do we got in here? Not knowing if it's rolled over. Front grille has modification holes in it. Front inner panel has screw holes. Oil leak on it. Exhaust leak large. That just makes it sound sportier. Hood cooler S? What? Bonetto cura S. So there's rust on the hood cooler? I guess the fins here maybe? I don't know. Aftermarket suspension and color change from white to white. I guess different color of white. And so it probably has had some rust repairs. This is a car that it would be a riskier car because rust repairs can be done really poorly sometimes. But it is cool nonetheless, and it looks great. I do like. I'm going to guess on this one 430,000 yen. And we're on to our last one. What's it going to be? It's Bill Courtney. Coffee. Okay, I got a video from somebody that I know going 180 kilometers an hour in one of these today, this morning. And I was like, that's illegal. And then I sent him a GIF of something that was really stupid and non-related. This is a supercharged mini Impreza, sort of. I mean, if you take a look, like cut here, it's kind of like an Impreza. And there is a convertible version that actually has a boot-style trunk. Really cool. But these are great cars. One of the best K cars that you can import to the US right now. It has cool Impreza-like front lights. This vehicle came out before the Impreza did, but the styling is pretty much spot on. It has the hood scoop on it, the Impreza-looking lights on it here. And yeah, just overall a cool car. Very light. I think they're somewhere around... they come in front-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. The RXR, I think, is a four-wheel drive one. And then the RSR would be the front-wheel drive one. I think the front-wheel drive one is pushing around 720 kilos, and the four-wheel drive one is around 820, or something like 800. And then with the supercharger, you can downsize the pulley to give yourself some more boost. But the person who's driving 180 actually sounds like he blew his supercharger. And he might comment, because I know he watches these videos. So it's 1993, it doesn't say the month, so you want to watch that because this can be imported to the US if it was made before June. And then if it was made after June, you have to wait. Actually, 3.5, body-wise, it looks not bad for a car this old. K cars tend to be made out of a cheaper sheet metal, and so it dents and scratches faster than a regular car would. Which is funny, you would think it would be slower because it's a smaller car and less likely to get hit. But alas, a lot of K cars have thin sheet metal that dents pretty easily and or rusts pretty easily, and interior bits that wear out pretty quickly. This one doesn't look that bad, but this wooden steering wheel, holy moly. Actually, I remember joking with Andrew about this earlier, in that this steering wheel could be used as a theft deterrent because it's so much bigger than the standard steering wheel that nobody can get into the car. 123, 350 kilometers on it, 5-speed manual. Supercharger. One owner car, timing belt was changed. Aftermarket steering wheel, power steering is making weird noises. Seat is saggy and dashboard has glue marks on it. Wheels and door mirror scratch, engine oil leak, underside surface rust, and the body has paint fade in various areas. Red paint always does that. Looks like it's on the roof here. Rust here, S1, just some light stuff. No rust on the underside. I mean, it doesn't look that bad. Fix that power steering and you have a fun little car. And I think prices for these are generally, I mean, they're a little bit expensive, but considering the performance and how cheap it is to run and to drive a car like this, I think it's definitely worth it. I think you'll pay for this one probably somewhere around 300,000 yen. Okay, and that's it for this video, and we're at my talking time 45 minutes, and so we'll see Monday. We'll shoot for an hour on Monday, but if I end up getting tired of talking, which does, because I'm not a natural talking type of person, so if I get tired of talking, I might cut it off early, or if it just doesn't have that many people viewing. We've got a fairly small channel here, 44,000 subs. And of that, I can only assume that there's going to be about 100 or so people that are watching the live stream the first time. And so we'll see about that. If I feel like it, I might cut it a little bit short. But we'll see how it goes. And yeah, make sure that you watch for that notification and then come in and cheer me on for my first ever live stream, which is a little bit weird because I generally don't like to be in front of a camera. But I'll make my face on there super small in the corner so that you don't have to look at me too much. Okay, so that's it for this one. See you Monday, which will be Sunday for most of you guys. All right, bye for now.